starshine lights my way to bed. Magic rainbows glisten in my head. Just like a child, I live in Wonderland. All my dreams are coming true. Heavy shackles used to hold me down.
In this quick video, I'm going to show you how I have manually sewn a buttonhole using the zigzag stitch on my sewing machine. Now the reason I've done this is I don't have much success using the automatic buttonhole setting on my sewing machine. So it seems to be okay if I'm doing it with kind of a cotton lawn or something like that and small buttonholes, but if I'm looking to make a larger buttonhole in a denim or a thicker fabric, or I need to sew a buttonhole near to where there's a seam allowance, so there's a bit more bulk, I just find that it more often than not goes wrong, where it'll start sewing it but then halfway through it'll stop, or it'll make it a lot bigger than what it needs to be or a lot smaller than what it needs to be, and I just find it really frustrating. So I wanted to find a new method of sewing a buttonhole myself, which didn't rely on that sensor working on the sewing machine. Initially I was looking at how to sew a buttonhole by hand, but my hand sewing skills, although I do quite enjoy it, are a little bit rubbish. So I wanted to see if there was if I could apply that same method but using the sewing machine, and I just had a bit of a play around and discovered how to do this. So I thought I would just share it with you in case you have the same problems as me and it helps you. So many people, I've actually shared some of my frustrations on Instagram stories, and so many people have said that they do have the same troubles. So I'm going to show you how I've done this. I am by no means a buttonhole expert, so if you do know of any better methods, then do feel free to share any links, etc. in the comments below. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just mark approximately how big I want the buttonhole to be. So I'm just going to do a line there and a line there, just like that. Now you obviously won't use a biro pen when you're doing it for real, because you'll want the pen to disappear. Use one of the, either a chalk or a disappearing pen. What I'll then do is draw a line where I'm going to stitch the buttonhole. Again, you'd use a ruler if you were doing it for real to make sure that it was straight. What I'm then going to do is use my small scissors to cut open that slit. So I'm just going to fold it in half, start by making a little slit, and then just cut it the rest of the way. What you may also want to do, I've got a double layer fabric here, but it's always recommended to add interfacing as well where you're going to sew a buttonhole to give it that extra stability. I haven't bothered on this because it's just a scrap practice. Okay, so now I have got the buttonhole cut open. I'm just using the standard foot on my sewing machine. The light might go off a little bit now because I need to switch the sewing machine on. Now the setting that I'm going to use, I'll just move this over. It's the zigzag stitch, and I am going to set it at 2 by 0.5. And you really do need to have a play around to see what setting is going to work for you. What I'm now going to do is open that hole up slightly, and I'm going to start by sewing some zigzags. What I want to happen is the zigzag just catches the edge of the hole on this side to kind of enclose it. Okay, then depends on how thick and sturdy you want your buttonhole to be, but I'm going to go over that again. those threads. And then going to repeat that on the other side. So I'm going to flip it around. And do the same on the other side of the hole. And I'm going to do it again. What I then want to do, so you can see now I've got a zigzag stitch which just encloses that hole. What I now want to do is just to secure the edges at the end. So I'm just going to flip it over. I want to sew over the stitches that I've already done just to secure them in place. And the same on the other side. So you can see now I've got a zigzag stitch around the edge and I've zigzag stitched across the top there. And then the final step is I'm just going to use a straight stitch on the sewing machine, and I'm just going to sew as close as I can a straight line on each side there. I think that just gives it a little bit more stability. So I'm just going to set it to straight stitch. So straight stitch, which is that one on my machine, and I'm going to make it a small stitch size, 1.5. And then the same on the other side. And that is it. I'll just switch the machine off. All done. So obviously I'd cut off all the loose threads. But you can see now that is a sturdy buttonhole. Obviously I've got loads of loose threads on the wrong side, but I'd get rid of all those, but that's what they look like on the other side. And that is it. So I hope that that helps. If you have the same frustrations as me with the censored buttonholes, then that is a way that you can do it manually yourself. Hope that you found that useful, and I will see you soon.
Magic rainbows glisten in my head. Just like a child, I live in wonderland. All my dreams are coming true. Heavy shackles used to hold me down. Now my feet don't even reach the ground.